Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Build Live from Oak Hill Works. How are you all doing this evening? I hope you are well. Welcome to the latest update from Streamlabs, brought to you by Silence. For goodness sake, Streamlabs, stop updating. I hate you. There we go. They made the settings box to fix the microphone completely different as well. So when I looked at it, I was like, what? This is why I usually do audio tests before I start. But tonight I was busy reading RM Web instead, so, you know. That happened. It's good when we have a week off and come back to my internet dying and the stream needing completely restarting and microphone problems and the laptop just generally struggling. It's great, isn't it? So yes, welcome everyone. How are we all? I hope we are all well. It is good to see so many people here so early for our wonderful carriage build, where, as I say, I hope that shortly it will look a bit more carriagey. I would love to comment on your profile picture, Lewis, but honestly, the size they come up on in Streamlabs, I can't really make out profile pictures at all. But so never be a streamer, guys. That's my tip. Because, wow, you have to deal with Streamlabs. Let's be honest, other streaming software just isn't any better. So let's not go there. In better news, I have ordered us some new equipment. So, like, when we next come to do a shunting stream, we're going to have a second camera, so that the loco never goes off screen. I stole this idea, and now it is my idea, because that's how it happens. Hydration is important. Hornby Class 50 named Sir Edward Elgar. Aha! Excellent. I know what a Class 50 looks like, so that's a good start. I know who Hornby are as well, so again, that is good. No idea who Sir Edward Elgar is, though, so you've lost me there. But other than that, it's great. So, yeah, it's time to get on with some carriage building, because apparently that is what you all came here for. God, look, we're only 5 minutes into the live stream and I'm talking about starting actually doing stuff. Isn't that weird? So, last week we left off with lots of bits cut out. Oh God, my preview's behind and everything. Oh, that's going to really throw me. And we have soldered on the vents above the doors. That is all we got done, because apparently cutting out and preparing brass takes a while. The next thing we need to do is that bit that everyone loves on carriage building. Aha, I know Nimrod. So, there we go. Thank you, Paderborn. What a great bit of music that is. Now I know who Sir Edward Elgar is as well. So, your profile picture is great, Lewis. So yeah, that part that everyone loves. the tumble home. And I don't want to get into discussions about whether the tumble home is the right name for it or not. I have decided it is. So good they even named a plane after it. Right then. So, if I move those out of the way. I can bring in my tea towel. And my cardboard tube from inside cling film. It's either cling film or tin foil, one of the two. These are the tools you need for forming a tumble home. The tea towel is very much folded to this size on purpose. It gives us just the right amount of softness to do this. It has required practice to get that required amount of softness. And what I do now to make sure I keep it folded like this is it never leaves the recording studio and it never gets unfolded. And this just goes on here and rocks back and forwards with some pressure. And you will see a curve starting to form at the bottom there where we're rolling it. When you stick to RAF references, more chance of success. Exactly. Can't believe Gary wouldn't know Land. Well, of course I know Land of Hope and Glory, but I don't know who wrote these things. But RAF references are always better. So as long as we keep the pressure even all the way along, we will form a nice, even tumble home all the way along. What you don't want to be doing when you do this is accidentally putting it at a slight angle, because then you're going to have some real problems with how it looks. But after a while you'll find that you get something you can line up with the end of your carriage. I know there's a lot of people that spend lots of money on specialised kit for doing this, and even more people who are completely afraid of doing it. Bit of cardboard tube and a tea towel, that's all you need. Possibly some bits to practice on as well, but you know, you'll get there in the end. So this bit of brass is showing that I didn't clean it all up properly. As you'll notice, the front is nice and clean and there's no corrosion on it, or no new green oxidation from the flux. That the back is another matter, we're absolutely covered in it. So, you know, clean up your brass, people. Nice. And matching into the sides. And that is it. That is how you form a tumble home in a brass coach. Brass station Porter's best friend. It doesn't need to be that clean. Like the fiberglass pencil will do. Even after it's all corroded. You can take all the corrosion off and it will be fine. Probably best you do it beforehand though. I've got Land of Hope and Glory stuck in my head. Very reset, thank you. Remember to smash that like button, says the bot, or give it a gentle tap. And whilst you're there, make sure you subscribe and press the notification bell for more. And really do make sure you subscribe if you aren't already, because we are just, or when I checked before the stream, 11 subscribers away from the 500 subscriber giveaway. That's not many. The prize is sat up there staring at me. It wants you to have it. 11 subscribers is not 400. That may have our bots in it who will be removed later though. But we're definitely close. And good evening, Andy. How are you? I hope you are well. You have indeed come in for the tumble home forming. Just the right time. So yes, tumble home fitted. And now we need to fold the tabs at the bottom and top of the coach sides, because that's what it says. Really long instruction that tells you. The instruction is form the tumble home and fold in the tabs. But in between those two parts, it tells you not only how to form the tumble home, but also how not to form the tumble home. And so that was nice of it. Now, Alexander, that would be cheating. And if we legitimately hit that 500 tonight, I can't put out a video on Tuesday saying, we're going to hit 500 soon. Good evening, Killian. How are you? Good to see you here by your real name on that note. Someone has a couple of Gmail addresses. Fair enough. Well, I won't complain. Hydration is important. YouTube says you're all very naughty, and I must not encourage you. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So yeah, we now have to fold these tabs along the top and bottom, which is of course going to ruin the tumble home a little bit. But you can't exactly do this before doing that. I am very well, thank you, Killian. Oh no, down to 490. See, the bots are being unsubscribed already. Ideally, I would do this with a set of bending bars. But the bending bars would also destroy the tumble home I've just formed. And I find as long as you're careful, which obviously I am always careful, you can do it with some pliers and your fingers. Also, I don't actually own any bending bars, so, you know, I'm too busy buying second cameras and stuff. Yeah, I've completely knocked that out this end, but I think, yeah, it's still alright the other end. It'll be fine, he says, hopefully. Because Streamlabs and my laptop are playing together so well this evening, every time I look up at my laptop to check chat, I am seeing my hands where they were about half a second before, and it's really off-putting. Two cameras you could broadcast in stereo. I could. The plan is to use them for when we're shunting, Andy. So I can have my usual camera looking over the ingle nook, and I can have another camera down that end of the layout, looking down that way over the whole thing. So even when the loco drives off screen, you'll be able to see it. That's the theory. I will obviously have to do some playing with this when the new camera arrives. Good evening, CNO in the 1950s in N-scale. How are you today? And, well, what is it you model exactly? I can't work it out from your name. Friendly bot from us, apparently for Jimmy Broadbent. Quite happy for the bots to abandon me for whoever they want. They can abandon me for people that wear slippers all the time if they really want to. That's how much I care. Yeah, I've really done a number on that. Yeah. Fancy West Coast 1800s. Thought so. Bet you do it in O gauge as well, don't you? And now it wants me to fold these parts. Here was me thinking we were making a carriage. Turns out we're just folding bits of brass all night. Scale. Makes it a very cheap hobby. Brilliant. Fold out steps on inner end, fit to outer end. Fold out steps on inner end, fit to outer end, steps through slots fit plain inner end to... Wow. I know what this wants me to do, but I cannot make sense of the way it's saying it. So bear in mind, we do not have any diagrams with this. All I have is text. I don't even have a parts list. So you ready for this instruction? See if you can work it out. As I say, I'm pretty sure I know what it wants me to do. Is fold out steps on inner end, fit to outer end, steps through slots, fit plain inner end to outer end, fit ends to sides, top tabs and inner buffer beams. Now, I can work out what that means because I can see the parts in front of me and I've done stuff like this before. But if you were brand new, what it wants me to do is fold the steps and fit them to the end. If you were brand new, would you get that? No, I don't think you would. That's a terrible instruction. It does look like, once we've done this though, we are going to fit the ends to the sides and give us a box that looks like a carriage. I need to grab a pen quickly and start scribbling through instructions I've done though. Well, I'm starting to lose where I am. There we go. That's better. Put outer end inner buffer end into insert the outfolding attachment end. You're not far off there, Javier. You know, instructions like this are why people fail at building kits. It's not that they can't do it. It's that they can't get the experience to work out what these blooming instructions mean. Oh, it's 16.5 mil, by the way. Fair enough. Back up to 491. Way, watch those subscriber numbers fluctuate. Remember, people, an original first edition from 1903 is on the line here. Do you have plasters now? I have plasters. I was at the shop when I had a first aid kit with no plasters. It's the shop that needs to buy them, not me. So Sebastian, if you're watching, as I know you occasionally do, that first aid kit in the shop has no plasters in it, and I needed some of them yesterday. So if you wouldn't mind popping out, get some plasters. Annoyingly, this one on my fingertip here is what I did. And the amount I use this finger, it just makes everything really hard to do. The important question is whether Gary's got any coagulant. Again, here at home, I do. At the shop, no. But I wouldn't expect to find that in any old random first aid kit that would come off Amazon. I would expect plasters, though. If no plasters, apply super glue. I mean, if you're a normal person, yeah, that's great. If you're me, where you literally scratch yourself, okay, it's a reasonably deep scratch, but it's not a big scratch. I put pressure on it, and as soon as I lifted pressure off, it just, my whole end of my finger was red. There was no time to get super glue on there. I ended up getting one of the sterile wipes out of the first aid kit, wiping it all up, wrapping that around my finger, and then sellotaping that in place. I am well versed in dealing with my own cuts, what with being a railway modeller. And for those that want to know what not to do, I was removing the body from a Class 47 TTS sound fitted 47. So you'd expect it to be a new one. It's not. It's the old Lima shell. You have to pull the buffers out. The buffers in those are rather stiff. So I held the end of the body. I got my tweezers, which weren't curved like these ones, put them under the buffer, pulled up. Got 3 of them off fine. The 4th one was rather tight and wouldn't come out. And when it did finally come out, because I was putting a bit more pressure, I went straight through my finger. It was fun. Don't do that. That is not how you remove buffers off of a Hornby 47. So what happens when you play with diseases. I mean, it's not mine. I was just repairing it for someone. Now I wait for them to turn up at the shop and ask to see my finger because they were watching this and no. But seriously, what sort of a company sells you a first aid kit that doesn't have plasters in it? Did have a nice little first aid booklet in there with, like, you know, tips for initial first aid, like stopping the bleeding. I was having a conversation with my cat. Well, you'll get more intelligent conversation than you do here. Maybe they can charge more for a class 47 with extra DNA installed. Depends on what the kit's for. For first aid, they aren't used. It's supposed to be a workplace first aid kit. That is what it was sold as. And I can't see why you would leave them out of a workplace first aid kit. But that's just me. Now let's check and see if... No, they don't. Only the tabs will fit through. So these will actually be fitted from the front. So we're going to give the back of this a nice polish around all the holes because it is absolutely filthy. And one of the most important things when soldering is cleanliness. Oh, look, you can see from there how filthy that was. Never mind if I make it shine. Yes, it is 3 down each side. I like to start kit building model locomotives and rolling stock. Well, I hope you find watching what I do helpful in learning how to do that. If you have any questions, please do ask. I did originally start doing these live streams to help teach people how to do these things. It seems like a long time ago that I was teaching people, but it is what I'm here for. Apparently you're live. YouTube has just told me. Thank you, YouTube. I'm glad you are putting that out there. Hasn't told me yet, so I don't know if it's true. I can't confirm. But yeah, clean brass. Just looks slightly different to dirty brass. Just slightly. Of course, the problem now is I've got to do the same to these. And with enough cleanliness and enough heat, you can solder anything. Please note that is not true. Do not try to solder things that are not designed to be soldered. No soldering plastics, no soldering paper, and especially no trying to create some form of cat-dog hybrid by soldering cats and dogs together. Which locomotive do I kit build in double A gauge, large tender engine or a small tank engine? Well, that is a question you can only really answer for yourself. What do you want to build? So I have my list of things I want. Those that I can get ready to run, I do. Those that I need to kit build, I do. And just very occasionally, those that I need to scratch build, I do. So even how the devil are we all? I am very well, Thomas. How are you? I hope you are well, sir. No soldering acrylic nails either. No, that's probably a good idea. Probably best not to solder acrylic nails. So when you turn them all over, polish the other side. Quite good indeed, my good sir. I had a smashing dinner and watched Doctor Who and was very spiffing, my good chap. Excellent. I approve of all those things. Do like small industrial locomotives, but I'm going to have to long hard think about what locomotives to build. That is, well, thinking about what you want is a good place to start. Because, you know, I have 2 projects over here to kit build in the near future that are very different. And yes, as Linny says, avoid things with outside valve gear. It's not something us Brighton modelers often think about because, well, there isn't many of them. I've got a nice Brighton C2 to build, which is, I mean, it's not a big tender engine, but it's a tender engine. And I've also got sat here waiting to be kit built something that will prove much easier, much more fun, and much more definitely getting done soon because it will be so good to run on South Park Quarry. Captain Baxter from the Bluebell Railway. Very fiddly and not easy to assemble. You want some experience before tapping valve gear. Nice inside cylinder 060 is a good starting point. I agree, Linny. Just the Atlantics and the K spring to mind, plus the occasional Craven. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. And just to add to the complexity of choosing kits, one of those I just showed is a white metal kit. Another one is a 3D print. And I'm working on a brass one. Body kits for the R chassis are also a good starting point if you don't want to faff with chassis. Yes, yes they are. And I hear there are some very good ones available from Hardy's Hobbies. I am not sponsored in any way by Hardy's Hobbies. I just think they've got some very good kits available. I have recently purchased myself a Peckett so that I can use it for one of their kits. Sold with various metals, including precious metals, plastic accidentally enter Liberty, and even water when it doesn't work. Excellent. You said it, not me. I did indeed, Tom. That make a chassis that's a fast fee. Yes. Yes, it would. J-Class 064 tank. Oh, yeah, but what about the J1 and the J2 then? But yes, they do have outside valve gear. However, if you're building a kit of them, you buy the kit from Golden Arrow and stick it on a ready-to-run chassis. Just saying. Can't remember what chassis it is they go on. There we go. 1BA3, I think. You could be right. My Hudswell side tank survivor is certainly good. There we go. Another vote for how great Hardy's Hobbies kits are. See, it's not just me. Fancy a Craven 440 with outside valve gear? Of course I do. It sounds fantastic. I want it now. When are you giving it to me, Javier? Hydration is important. Let's get the soldering iron turned on, shall we? A soldering block. Probably don't need the electrical tape. Solder and flux. They're handy things to have. And whilst that heats up, I will refill the hydration vessel because it is empty already. Have to wait for that one, but eventually. Eventually we'll do, Javier. Don't get your friend in. Oh, Javier. All this work you're creating for yourself. Is anything in focus on the camera there? God, that was terrible. Thanks, camera. Well, I think that's all of them. 3, 3, and a centre one. Yes. Yes, it is. And the iron is up to temperature. So we're going to open the flux. We're going to put absolutely loads of flux on the back of here. because A, you can't have too much flux, and B, I'm going to use the flux that I'm putting on here to apply flux to these by poking them through the holes and collecting it on their way through. It's just easier. We are going to use the ceramic tipped pliers. So I have experience with Regitex texture sheets. I've heard of them. Does that count? This is all backwards. I really want to be doing this the other way round. So I'm going to. Make sure there's nothing attached to my soldering iron there. And look at that, that step is now a part of it. Best like that, having a little Stevens hydration fluid is orange squash from a well-known supplier, and to stop it being too wet, some Bailey's cake. Unfortunately, only flavoured, no alcohol included. Well, you've at least got the flavour. That's a start. And I approve of orange drinks. I also have an orange drink, although mine is fizzy. There we go, 2 steps in. I really should have checked the fit of these before actually applying the flux and everything. Because it gets really awkward when we get one like this that won't quite fit. These are not good enough to get a tight grip to do that with. Taken a step, thanks to Oak Hill on the road, encouraging over the years, got the motor in bits in front of me now. Aha! I approve of taking steps. I'm just filing a step at the moment. There we go, it fits now. Currently looking at the Ridcage cobbled road sheets, and they look interesting, although I'm torn between them and the Chooch Enterprises sheets. Well, I've heard of the first one. I've not heard of the second one. Mainline colic goods motor turns over but runs away, if that makes sense. Maybe? I'm sure you'll get it working. But now we have steps all the way down one side of the carriage end. Now we've just got to do this side. Speeds up very quickly. Ah, okay. Yes. Now I very much understand what you're saying. I'm sure you can sort it. Use less power. One step to go. You thought I was going to say beyond there, didn't you? Or am I just showing my age? Go. Yeah, you'll do it. It doesn't need to be a double header contender. This one has a rather large bulge on this side. There we go, it fits. I mean, when kit building, always be prepared for literally nothing to fit. It's quite common. This scratch on my finger's really hurting after that. There we go. They all fit. Right, so I can cross through that instruction now. Fit to body sides. Floor fits inside body on side tabs. Yes, move the sensor in rows the wrong direction and don't allow for edge stones. Well, that's a bit rubbish of them. So that seems to be saying that that fits like that. I will take its word for it. Before I do anything, I'm going to polish this all the way along. which would have been much easier to do before folding it. Which clearly was a mistake to fold it without doing so. Now you know. So I make these mistakes so you don't have to. We're also going to polish up the edges. And you know what, I reckon just in case I'm going to polish the inside of this tab as well. See, we have learnt something this evening. I'm not totally useless at this YouTube thing. I'm going to stand this up, and I can balance that on there and not lose the bend in it. Whilst I polish it ready for soldering. Sort of need to polish the insides of this bit as well all the way up. I should have just polished the whole thing when I was getting it ready for the steps, shouldn't I? I'm going to do around the top and all. The other thing, things like cheat sheets, they have flexible strips for edging, so for example along inset rails. That sounds very handy. Very, very handy. They sound like the ones to go with. Hydration is important. Oh, well, that is a very important point there, Andy. It's not stable over time. It's a bit useless. Right then, so flux. Along what is quite a big brass bit to be soldering. Remember, the bigger your brass, the more your heat is going to be drawn away. Or the bigger your metal you're soldering to, the more your heat is going to be drawn away. Exciting times, the carriage is about to get nice and carriage shaped. It's heading that way, isn't it? We're going to tin along the bottom and up the side there. And now we're going to tin along the bottom and up the inside here. I really wish I could stop throwing these plastic bags over the soldering iron. It would really be conductive to them living longer. And also to me living longer. But whilst we're here, why don't we tin up the other side of this bit as well? So if you get it all tinned up now, it's less fiddly later. That sheet of brass is rather hot now, for those wondering. Now remember, double check you're in correct end to the correct side. Yeah, I have already checked every single time. This is the end with the steps and no birdcage, so it wants to go on the side with a window right up to the end. The side with the window, the double door windows slightly further away because it's then got panelling, is the break end. But of course, if I do this wrong, it's just so that you can see the problems that can arise and things to check. I'm sweating the two parts together. I'm not sure how, but there we go. Let's let that bit drop in place now. And now they're joined. And I'm just going to apply a tiny bit more solder to the iron for up this side. And I'm definitely not going to bend it out of shape whilst attaching it. That would be very silly and you'd never see me do that. But there we are. Something starting to appear distinctly carriage shaped, and oh my god, is it hot! I hope you appreciate all these burns I give myself for your entertainment. Aha, that makes sense how that goes together. That's good. Cauterise the finger wound. It was this hand I was burning that time. This end's really hot. I'm honestly not sure whether it's going to be easier to do this first or the other side first. Because what's going to happen is these are going to fold down. And to make sure this goes in the right place, they drop through the bottom of the carriage side. Like so. Silly Gary, this isn't Burns night. There's a bit of brass stuck out my finger. That shiny thing there. It's a really thin strand of brass. I do not advise brass splinters. Whilst we wonder about whether we fit this floor first or second, well, we're going to put this corner together because why not? I'd put the floor in after, but it looks like it'll be tricky either way. Yeah, it's going to be interesting regardless. I'm doing to polish this side up now. But there are small bits of brass like that all over all over the recording studio at the moment, because when cleaning all this solder up, I used the brass wire spinny disc thing. That's what I'm going to call it. That's its real name. In the Dremel. What with goggles, always wear PPE. PPE is important. So yeah, I used the brass wire spinny disc thing, and it sent bits of brass wire everywhere. You will notice it's quite bald on this side now. It was quite impressive how lots of them embedded themselves in the diffusers in front of my lights. Very impressive. I used to hate visiting customers to turn brass. You spend a week trying to get rid of all of it from your clothes, tools, pockets, etc. Yeah, it gets everywhere, doesn't it? Can you form the roof and make it a separate part with full ceiling? Then you can glue it on later. So here's the fun thing with this carriage. For forming the roof, it includes a bit of plastic art. So that is pretty much what it expects me to do, Linny, yes. Would have felt polisher work for you. Not in this case. Because in this case, I was also hoping, and successfully did, take off some of the bits of solder that weren't needed, shall we say. The extra, the spare solder that was on there, just in case, you know? I'm quite sure I don't need to solder anything here. But I've just decided we're not going to be too careful with this. Because if I do, then I'm not going to be able to get back in there to polish it again. No, I've got to put it up this way to polish it. Yes. So, see, Andy knows all about the spare solder. So it did the trick really well. But it would have been nicer if it didn't leave bits quite as much as it has. Cell phone is brilliant. Okay, that's pretty brassy. Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that much brass. Speaking of phones, I'm currently watching this on my shiny new phone. Ooh, shiny new phone. That sounds like money you could have spent on trains, but didn't. And it just leaves me very disappointed. Because I only upgrade my phone when my old one dies. Contract upgrade, so it was free. See, you say that. I went well over a year after my contract ran out before upgrading my phone. And then when I did finally need to upgrade, instead of telling them I wanted to upgrade because my phone was broken, I requested my code so I could transfer to another network. And they got all panicky and gave me a really good deal. The phone can be used to film trains, both big and small. Can indeed can confirm. Well, you know. I was at the time paying for a SIM only contract because I'd been out of contract on the phone for over a year. And I didn't want to have to pay loads more. Good evening, Red. How are you? I hope you are well. So, I phoned them up and did request the code. Their salespeople phoned me back. We hear you've requested your puck code so you can change. And yes, I'm need to get a new phone, so I'm looking at options. Well, would you be willing to let us make you an offer? So, of course. So I got a new phone, and I told them the reason my phone had broken, the only reason I was upgrading was because the charging port on my phone had broken. So to go with that, they threw in a wireless charger. So there we go. I won't have a charging port break on me again because I've got wireless charging. Excellent. And they threw in the smartwatch that I am wearing. And they upped my data, giving me 3 times as much mobile data as I had before. And I paid the same price as I paid for my SIM-only contract. That's the way to do it. I've had to get a bit annoyed at myself for not noticing my black paint was a solid block when I tried to paint my sharp Stuart though. Well, that's awkward when your paint goes to a solid block. Although I find not so bad with enamels because you just add some thinners and stir it for a bit. Even when it is completely solid. My charge port fills with brass and it's always why I have to get a new phone. Yeah, I can understand that. My charge port just looks like a solid lump of dust now because it's literally never had anything plugged into it. Well, I assume it got tested once upon a time in China. But since then, it doesn't look like it's taking to me. I could be wrong, and it could be sealed perfectly. Well, we were discussing phones and new phones. Oh yeah, it's taken fine. I was like, no, it's not soldering, but yeah, it's fine. It's completely solid. We're looking very carriagey now. Let's see, we're a carriage now. No, it was just me being blind, Linny. Because I do that quite often. Although you can't have too much flux, to be fair. Hydration is important, though. I've had mine 6 years in April. Got the value out of it, but the charging port is on its way out. It's what kills them all, clearly. I don't know why I'm moving that. I don't need to polish these. I am going to tin up across the bottom here because that is needed. I don't think we have a spam command, do we? You can't drop Vikings and stuff down on me to start singing, so it's fine. I ended up hot gluing one of those magnetic charging adapters to my phone when the charging socket was tying. Phone's used to charge cable that goes first. Resist urge to miscarry kids sing swam. Behave. So it's easier to replace a charger than it is the charging port. Went through so many phone chargers. Yeah, well, yeah. No, I've given a few locos lube up. Really wish I'd done it sooner. They're all running far better now mechanically. Even one that wasn't turnover on 9-volt battery is like new. It's important stuff. You must always remember lube. Everything goes smoother with lube. Right, that's that side. Fluxed. One I have. Excellent. I approve of that one. I sell it in the shop. When Gauge Master deliver it. Comment. Red obviously doesn't think everything goes smoother with lube. Got mine from MRB back in August. See, that's no good. I was definitely working at a model shop in August. Why would you be shopping elsewhere? Adequate lubrication between parts in rubber in contact prevents premature wear. That's my mechanical engineering lecture. It's true. It's very true. I've had plenty of locos come into the shop for repair that people have thought, they're old and past it and they're no good for anything anymore. And a bit of lube and they're just as good as they always were and everyone's having loads of fun. Right. Tin up the ends as well, then we can get the carriage assembled and carriage shaped. So alongside the 5 pence, I was like, it was from the Everone model railway size semi-shop in the model railway area on the platform. I sell these as well. The locos are the customers. The locos get the lube, the customers have the fun with the locos. By yoink, I mean, yes, I will pay for this with money. I assumed that's what you meant. But yeah, I sell all the things. And in theory, I have a nice Gauge Master delivery coming tomorrow. Whilst I'm not there. If that's true, and it does arrive, guess what my Tuesday morning tweet is going to be about from the shop. Money can be exchanged for goods and services. One that I get. Occasionally we make references that I get. Right, it seems to get there. It still works, and the coach is really coming along. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And yes, the coach is... It will shortly look like a coach. Well, it will look like a carriage, actually, not a coach. Talking of pencil, what do I do when the tip is all mucky from the wheels? So, sometimes I clean this by using it against something clean. That's not even a joke. But, generally, I don't bother. I just keep using it. That only really becomes a problem if it gets so dirty that it can't do anything. But because the pencil is constantly losing the ends of its finders, doesn't get to a point very often where it's actually too dirty to use. Just keep using it. So whatever way I do this, it's not going to be easy to solder together, is it? Oh. I think they're stuck. Next Saturday, I'll be picking up my Hornby Hall class after being repaired. Excellent. Yeah, that's what I do for people now. It's always nice when you get to pick up things that have been repaired, isn't it? I'll be popping into the shop this week to spend my money. I approve of popping in to spend your money. Something wheels. And M7 bodies. And hydration, because it's important. So, now that this end is together, what I can tell you is we definitely put a bit of a twist in the sides. But by the time it's all together, it'll be fine. And we're not going to worry about it. Oh yeah, the tornado I got recently didn't like club out much. Only seemed happy on one loop where Dutch Sutherland could fly around without caring the world on all loops. How strange. Anything the Duchess can do, the tornado should be able to do just as well, if not better. See, these are the references I get. You know what we have there, everyone? We have a rather carriagey looking carriage that is really, really warm. What we need now is to get a floor in it. So we're going to polish it, tin it, and hope for the best. At least it could change lines without tripping the fuse board like mine does. Well, that sounds like a problem in your wiring. None of my DCC stuff has that problem, just saying. Fantastic work, sir. Thank you. I think it's the front body that's the issue. This is different style, Dutch Sutherland, but yeah, my middle combo from Backman works flawlessly with similar bogey mechanism. Looking warm carriage like. It is quite warm. Well, it was quite warm. I'm sure it's not now. But I suppose when you're sweat soldering on stuff this size, it will get quite warm. Go away, fly. Where have you even come from? Silly fly. There was someone on the Hornby programme last week, I think, tripping fuse boxes with his homemade controller. That's clearly a sign you should not be making your own controllers and you should give up. And I don't think it's very responsible to broadcast it on the telly that they're doing this. I will not be naming any names, and neither should you. That program continues to be absolutely ridiculous, but the customers like to talk about it, so I make sure to watch it. Silly fly, she fly. That's better. That's it. Better. It's off. Well, yeah. Not give up, then acquire training before proceeding. Well, yes, that too, Lenny. It was Andy. Yes, it was. But we're not naming names. Although that is who it was. Yeah, let's not talk about that yet. It's bad enough that they're fucked. That they have on there, let alone them appearing on the telly. I'm not against that person appearing on the telly because of their YouTube following. But appearing on the telly and doing that seemed very irresponsible to me. And they continued to proceed regardless. And make jokes about it. Which I say seemed very irresponsible from a TV production point of view. That definitely sounds like something wrong with your wiring, and you should definitely check it out before doing too much more, Red. That's what I'm going to say. Because if it's tripping out, it's clearly doing something wrong, and I know you know that. But yeah, if it's doing that, please do check it out and rewire it, because it's not good for you. Fly, get off the instructions. Go. That's it. Don't hang out on the light again. That's fine. Right, this is this way round on here. The dynamo goes this end. So I can drop this in. He says as if it'll be an easy task. Okay, it's in. And now it's not in anymore. It's in. All the bits are in the right place. The problem is these programs don't seem to take things seriously. I mean, I can't be the only one to have noticed the Bake Off and MasterChef music over the top of a lot of the series. Having never watched Bake Off or MasterChef, you definitely can be. I think a show like that, aimed at the audience it's aimed at, saying, oh yeah, this homemade controller has... In fact, he made a joke about the fact it might do it beforehand, and then it did trip it, and then they carried on and made another joke about it. Seems a bit irresponsible. Because you shouldn't be teaching people that, yeah, it's completely fine for these things to be dodgy enough that they trip the electrics when you try to use them, and just carry on using it. That's fine. And my tip for everyone is if you're tripping the electrics, stop and rewire. Because there's something wrong. Thank you for showing everything to serious. Board for the casual view, I get that, but keep covert film people that are quirky different, like with quirky different styles and not show idiot stuff, but yeah, don't have stupid scrapbook challenges. But it's very responsible, especially when Main's Welsh is part of the picture. Yeah. Electrical faults can be very serious and should be dealt with properly. And the production company should not have gone ahead with showing that. Why do you think I keep asking for help? Well, the problem, it's not an easy thing to give help with over the internet though, Red. That's the problem. Ideally, what you need is someone local to you that can come round and have a look with you. All it'll be is you're creating a short circuit somewhere. Find the short circuit and it'll be fine. Am I also the only one that skipped the non-model railway sections? Probably. I only watch it because it gives me something to chat about with the customers at work. Because it is nice to have things to chat about with the customers. Is that the Hornby propaganda programme? Yes, that one. I haven't watched it, so I have to chat about other things. That's fine. I'm quite happy to chat about other things as well. More than happy to chat about other things. Ow. Ow. So for those that don't know, over here, in front of my soldering iron, I have a pot of wire wool for cleaning the tip, and it's got a resin flux in the bottom to help keep it clean. Look, you can see if I turn that. Okay, that made no difference for you, really. And, you know, just dip that in there and clean off the tip every time. When I did it that time, it pulled a bit of the wire wool out, which flew through the air and landed on my finger. This is clearly the stream of injuries, isn't it? Ow. It's nice soldering iron temperature bit of brass, that was. Hydration is important. Tells me I have to fit the buffer beams as well now. It's looking lovely and carrot shaped. It is, isn't it? It's even got some bits on the floor, bits under the floor technically. Look, we've got underframe detailing. Buffer beams are fitted at this stage. If I can find them. No, really, if I can find them. They're on this one that's over here. Both fingers are injured. Well, it was this one. This one it landed on. Isn't this often a stream of injuries and mishaps? I mean, that is part of the fun, isn't it? All my injuries. It's why you all come along, isn't it? To see me hurt myself. It's alright, I know. It's fine. I don't mind. So it's past the time where I ask you what you're all doing. So I guess I'd best ask you what you're all up to this evening whilst watching me injure myself and break things. Because I do genuinely like to know. If you don't get injured whilst modelling, are you truly modelling? It's a very good point. Very good point indeed. Although I haven't got injured whilst working on my Horsa glider last night and today. Although admittedly I have only been painting it last night and today. So it'd be rather interesting if I did injure myself. Fresh and solid goods within an inch of its existence. Excellent. I don't say bad words whilst modelling. Am I truly modelling? Well, obviously it is possible to do modelling without saying bad words. That's how I managed to run a PG live stream. I mean, whether we pass PG rating on blood and gore or not. Searching for a stack of pictures for a modelling project I'm starting up again and cannot find it. Cannot find it, but finding so much more. Interesting. Good to hear you're starting up a modelling project again. I hope we're going to get some pictures on Discord. Currently sitting under 2 cats. Would have been working on the Sharp Stewart if not for the aforementioned paint issue. Yeah. You'll have to buy some more. Just thinking loudly. No comment about whether I think bad words whilst streaming. Gonna have a bath and then get ready for bed. Well, it is sort of late enough for that. So, yes, good idea. Do my best not to say bad words anymore. It's... yeah. I do my best at certain times. If I'm honest, I'm just waiting on 2 free Raspberry Pis. Bought the humble bundles I got a free Pi free with that, and then if you sub to Magpie, you get a free 0W. So I do both. Oh, really? Right. Okay. Free Raspberry Pis. Can't complain at that. Currently looking at the Cambrian kit that needs to be built and relaxing before my last day of work tomorrow. I mean, it's a good way of doing it, but you should probably get on with the Cambrian kit. Don't just look at it. Otherwise, it'll end up like my Cambrian kits. Sat in their boxes, waiting to be built. Does this fly realise what month it is? We don't get flies at this time of year. And the bad words come out when Gary is driving. No, I have never said anything bad when driving. I am a calm and professional driver. There are Buddhist monks who look on my driving in awe and wonder how I can be quite so zen. I just think of those words feeling sad and dejected because they are bad. I mean, yeah. Raspberry Pis. Let's start removing nameplates from the self-destructing Hudswell Clark saddle tank. Yes. Are the nameplates going to go onto another loco? Need wheels and bearings for them? Well, you best buy some wheels and bearings then, hadn't you? What are the underframes like on these? Ah, they're fine then. I have some bearings in the shop that will work for Cambrian kits. So, you know. Probably have some wheels as well. If only the stream was the other day, then it would have been Friday. Oh dear. Oh dear, that was bad even for you lot. So these now have to go into these non-existent holes. Barely get my knife blade into them, never mind a bit of brass. So since these holes are non-existent, what I'm going to do instead is bend them. Just looking for something ideal to bend them with. There we go. Good, I bought some berries a while ago and put them in a thing known as safe place, never to be seen again. Yeah, that happens. It is very safe, so safe they will never be used. So with my tabs now bent over, I can solder them onto the bottom of the floor. See, I know what I'm doing. And yes, anvil time. It's always a good time when I get the anvil out. And yes, those are sitting there quite nicely. See, I do know what I'm doing sometimes. Very important, that sometimes. Just be careful of your left blister. Your left index finger, that was what I assumed, blister looks rather sore. No, that is where I cut myself at work yesterday. It is very sore. And the base of the finger next to your thumb looks like a blister in the lighting. Oh no, definitely no blister there. Definitely no blister there. It's just the cut on the end. Which I notice as the night goes on is looking more and more purple. Interesting. Nah, nothing in the way of blisters. I don't know what I know to be a cut. Saw it pop open slightly and concerned me. So yeah, it's very sore. But I will live. Tis but a flesh wound. Fluxing the wound is good for you. Yes, I'm sure it is. Can't have too much flux. Right, that can hold that there. No, it's just too big now. It doesn't want me to sweat it into place. That's really hot, isn't it? Don't do that, everyone. By the end, that fly will land on the lens. There we are. It probably will at some point if it doesn't go away. I'll go from Australia watching. Hope you all are well. Good. Well, whatever time of day it is over there, Gary from Australia. How are you I am very well, thank you, and I hope you are too. There we go. See, we didn't need those non-existent holes. So we will, once again, just fold these over. Polish them back up. Along with the underside of this end. And then we can get it soldered in place. See, sometimes the way a kit's designed isn't ideal. Never be afraid of making changes and modifying it yourself if you need to. So I can see where the holes for these are supposed to be, but they're right on the fold line. So there is no way it was ever going to get through them. Oh, that's gone all burny. That's better. Yeah, much better to slightly modify the kit and make them a fold over and solder joint. Well, tomorrow, so I shall very good night. The carriage looking good, Garrett. See you next week. Thank you, Paderborn. Good night. Sleep well. Don't work too hard, and all that other wonderful stuff I say. Right, that can hold that in place. Oh, there we go. That's sweated on nicely there. I so had that, but then I let it move. Same here, like, oh, good night, red. Again, all those same things I said to Paderborn. Well, that is it for my morning project I planned tonight. Sorry, everyone. You now have my attention. Darn it. He's paying attention. There we go. Buffer beams on. And I can put a line through that instruction. Fit main roof end truss supports into slots in top tabs. Fit inner birdcage partition against roof truss. Okay. They're around here somewhere. I've seen them. There they all are. I'm not sure what slots in tabs and yeah. There's literally only one that seems to have slots to fit down into tabs, and that is the one that the birdcage fits against. But I'll let it off. Carrie's coming along well. Thank you, Lewis. So with roof trusses fitted as well, it should look distinctly carriage-like. Once this is done, it'll be time for the sole bars to go on and the step boards. And then we're on to details. It's always exciting when a build gets to this point. You can really start to see how it's going to look. Are those drop lights on the fret? Now, you would think so, wouldn't you? You would really think so. But the drop lights are etched in. Because I thought they were at first. Must join the Exodus. Dinner is calling. Looking great. Thanks for the stream, Gary. Good night. Good night, Andy. Thanks for coming as always. Enjoy your dinner. And I hope you find the books you were after. And to refill the hydration vessel, because hydration is important and all that jazz. What are they then? I have no idea. Honestly. I have spent ages trying to find out what they are, and I have no idea. So remember, everyone, hydration is important. Oh God, there's still a delay on there. It's horrible. And not only is hydration important, but so is having a mug that reminds you hydration is important. And those are available from my merch store, !merch in the chat. I don't want to be too much of a shill, but I will remind you all that this model railway stuff is literally my job. So, you know. When I started and it was a hobby and I used to do all the money stuff for fun and jokes and memes, it is my job these days. It's how I pay the bills and put the food on the table. So go buy a mug or a t-shirt or whatever else is on there, because I genuinely don't know anymore, because they sent me an email the other day saying they were discontinuing loads of stuff, and I was like, oh, can I be bothered to read it? No. Didn't actually tell me what they were discontinuing. I hope it's not the mugs, because that would be really silly. Agree, hydration is important. It is indeed. I'm using mine especially tonight. Excellent, glad to hear it, Shiel. I am the ultimate Shiel. Does the inbound birdcage frame have the windows or not? Yes. So this is the inbound birdcage frame. It's got a roof truss that drops down into it, and then the inbound birdcage frame goes onto the back of that roof truss, like so. Who you calling a mug? Only you, Linny. Only you. And good evening, Paul. How are you? Welcome to the chat. It's a lot of polishing this, isn't it? You're not that much of a shill as you aren't sponsored by VPN or Range Shadow Legends. It's funny you should say that, Sophia, because I'd like to say this stream is brought to you by... But no, it's me. Well, I'm not good enough to be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. You know, there is a YouTuber I know who got that inevitable email the other day from Raid offering him a sponsorship. And all it said was they'd be interested in working together. It didn't say anything else about it. And so he said, yeah, of course, I'm quite happy to be sponsored by you. My fee is £10,000. And the people from the ad agency that Raid use replied with, yeah, we've seen your content and your views. We're willing to offer you £500. Needless to say, he turned it down. Because whilst £500 is a decent amount of money, it's not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends money. That was literally his words. I'm not free bad, all things considered. It's recovering from a knee replacement op. Ooh. Well, I hope the new knee treats you better than the old one has. But glad to hear you are otherwise not bad. Once you get sick of seeing everything sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, it's more I see them more like, nah, I'm not into this style of game anyway, but I'm definitely not getting it now. It is... So I have seen the contracts that Raid Shadow Legends give out to people on these sponsorship things, and oh my god, the clauses in it is absolutely horrendous. And yeah, those clauses would put me off. Even if I'd agreed to be sponsored, I'd be like, nah. What are the clauses? I don't know if I should go into them, but there are genuinely clauses in there about the fact that you have to play the game and how many hours you have to play for. And the reason they have those clauses is so that they can claim that they don't sponsor people. People play their game and enjoy it before talking about it. Which they do genuinely claim. You don't want a sponsorship from that. No. Not down for that one either. I don't think it fits with the channel. But yeah, Raid Shadow Legends will tell you they have never paid anyone for sponsorship. Technically true, because it's dealt with by an ad agency. And that everyone who talks about them on YouTube is a genuine player who has played the game and enjoys it. Which, again, technically... But yeah, you have to play the game, you have to set up a clan, you have to keep playing it for X number of weeks after the ad goes out, so that your viewers can join your clan and play with you to encourage them to keep playing. How do they know they enjoy it? Well, yes, obviously they don't, but I would, the amount of hours they've put in, they must enjoy it. They can even show you the player data if you really want. I mean, you'd have to go through a court to get it, I imagine. Good evening, Donegal Dad. I am very well, thanks. How are you? We have a birdcagey looking birdcage now. Hi, Dad. Well done. That doesn't work. Brilliant. So the first one is a full height partition and the rest are half partitions. Yeah, they're not actually like that in the character, though, are they? Why have you done that on the kit? That makes no sense to me. That's an interesting looking piece and I have no idea what it is. It has half etched bits in it and everything, so hopefully I can work it out at some point. You are good. That is excellent. I am glad to hear that. Now that we've got this far, we can really compare it to the Bachmann one size-wise. It is significantly shorter, isn't it? And the older style of panelling, which I believe they got from the SE&CR. Feel free to correct me, someone. So they will look very different to the Bachmann ones when they're done. Especially since I'm going to do them in the other livery. So if anyone asks me if these are Bachmann once they're done, I will not be happy. That certainly is a lot smaller. Bet the time counts are different per YouTuber. Like someone like DK King around and that aren't a gaming channel probably don't have to play it for long, where someone like Call Me Kevin has to do like 8 weeks. No. It's all a standard contract. Everyone gets the same. Multiple people have confirmed that the terms I have seen are the terms they were offered. I'll ask you then. That's not very nice, is it? I'll just tell you should know better because you're supposedly the SE&CR expert. Put it based on something like that. No. It's getting your audience to play with you to get them hooked on the game thing. God, I hope they never find this live stream. They'll probably have it taken down for all this. But I'd like to point out, all these details are out there in public. There is nothing I am saying that cannot be found online already. From places with a lot more viewers than here. Better off without it then, to be honest. Yep, I agree. Well, also, does King of Random really do sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? I have not watched that channel since Grant died. And in fact, I'd been away from it for a while before then, and then heard he died. I was like, what? Well, you may not be an expert, but you're the SE&CR modeler. I model the Brighton, remember? Terriers and all that. That's me. Oh, look, there's a link to the Discord. For those that aren't already members. It's one of my favourite places to hang out. And almost never say anything. So it's all this iron and dirt and stuff off of here, and the little brass filings off of here. Also good to get in my cut, Linny. Is that also good for me? Like the flux? Oh yes, excellent. And when you say that, are you taking into account I have literally the opposite of an iron deficiency? Iron in the blood is good for you. Well, maybe for some people. Some of us have hemochromatosis. Yeah, I know big words. Right then, so this one goes here. Now I'm wondering, have they given me enough for one between each compartment? Because that's sort of what I'm assuming they've done. They have, so we get truss between each compartment. Isn't that good of them? It's just a shame they're not all full height. So now they all need a polish so they can take some solder. And I'd definitely say we've achieved our aim of making something carriage shaped this evening. I remember in the last live stream, saying what my goals were for the number of streams I wanted this project to take. And right now I can't remember what that was. So I have no idea if we're on track or not. Presumably they expect you to fit seats to hide the gap at the bottom. I expect so. But for those of us that don't often fit interiors, it'd be nice if they didn't expect that. What do you mean more materials make it cost more? That makes no sense to me. I may have bought seating to go in the clear throws to help. Excellent. Is that the ratio seating? Because if so, you know where you could have bought that? Do you? Two more until built, I think. This is one of two. I reckon I can do that. I reckon if that was my target, we are still on track. It's amazing how much time you spend on prepping parts rather than putting them together, isn't it? Nothing like this when you're making plastic kits. I've come a long way tonight from flat bits to virtually finished body. Yeah, thank you. I am very happy with how far we've got. We get all these trusses in, I reckon we're on track for where I want to be. Which we should do in 25 minutes. If we can get these and the soul bars and step boards on, it would be even better. Because then we are on to details. But we shall see. I'm not going to say we're going to make that. This is going to be a useful video along with the others for my new silly ideas. Oh. Bit of paint on eventually and she'll be yeah. I must remember to ask the good lady Alex about her recommendations for the livery when it comes to paint, actually. Because I quite like the shade she's got. My double gauge manor is dwarfed by my Hornby Duchess of Sutherland. Yes. Duchesses are quite large locos. Silly ideas are requiring brass kits to be built. Oh. I rather approve of building brass kits. I really enjoy them. If you couldn't tell. Both of those were huge compared to, yeah. Need to find out about SE&CR interior colours. Well, you know who to ask, don't you? The hydraulics on my chair appear to have started making a noise every time I move. That can't end well, can it? Princess coronations do dwarf a lot of things. They are huge. Yeah, yes, true. Got another Duchess though. They are very nice. Silly idea to make a cab for Wood Bullied Pacific. Well, get on with it. That's my response to that. I have, tucked away in a cupboard somewhere, a started but never finished project to build a bullied, air smoothed 464 tank engine. It must have something about broad gauge. Ooh, broad gauge. The only acceptable Great Western. It's on the list after the Brighton B1. Well, get on with that then. Must have something about 4-foot gauge. All Great Western is, well, great. Well, if you say so. You can believe that. The Great Western had 3 things that were acceptable. One was the broad gauge and the other 2 were Terriers. I will want someone says M7 body. Yes. Stop making excuses. Pannier tanks, XLBS. They did have ex-Brighton panniers, you're right. Because they stole panniers from the Brighton. Just like they stole standardisation from the Brighton. No, they had the Bridcage 40 headset that could drive down roads. Any loco can drive down roads if you take it off the turntable wrong enough. I love the Great Western 28XX 280 locos. I think I've got one of those somewhere. What do you want M7 was, Sophia? For making a Gladstone, as per my old one. Better though. Nah. Wait, what? I've never heard of Brighton pannier before. So the Brighton called them wing tanks. They're very early. And they ended up in Great Western ownership long before the Great Western had pannier tanks. Because the Great Western just stole pannier tanks from the Brighton. An M7 body? Yes, an M7 body. I thought you used M7 chassis. I used I used the body as well. I mean, you don't use a lot of the body. It's the smoke box, the chimney, and the splashers. That's all I used from it. But look at a B1 head-on and look at an M7 head-on. I have an M7 body too, Linny, that I'm going to sell to Sophia when I remember to bring it to the shop. Fancy plans for a wing taste, not looking engine, not gonna lie, but it reminds me of a concept a mate of mine came up with for a pannier terrier. People are strange. You can't improve on a terrier. Why would you try? Hydration is important. But mine is in the right country. See, I win. Now it's just a race to see which of us gets it one to you first. And Penny and Terriers actually look kind of nice online. No, not so much of an improvement, more of a choose your own engine parts sort of thing. Yeah, if anyone gets to choose their own parts and comes up with anything that isn't that, they're wrong. Let's go to triangle. Mine is a Triang 1, which is what I used on my B1 as well. Is that the body I sold you, Linny? Are you trying to pass on the M7 body I sold you? It is. What is it about things I sell you? Ah. I did a few detailing bits from the back end, but the front end is still useful. Fair enough. Aren't the new one and the old one the same, just with different chassis? Not even nearly, no. You also have good taste selling people stuff. You are okay. My E4 I sold you, you sold on as well, didn't you? Well, I didn't get that solder in the right place, did I? I did, after converting one to original condition. Exactly. See? I sell you these things and you just sell them on. My Hornby Hall class should be returning to the battlefield and laying out the Light Valley Military Railway after being taken out of service to be repaired. Well, hey, I approve of things returning to service. I assumed it was the name of your layout, yes. It was bought before I decided what LBSC services Linton was going to get, though. Yeah. Question, why are the Brighton Panniers referred to as wing tanks? Because their tanks look like wings. Pannier tanks hadn't been invented yet. The question is, why did the Great Western rename wing tanks pannier tanks? See? It's because they didn't want people to know they'd stolen them. There we go. Roof trusses in. 10 minutes to go. Really, all there is because a wing tank only goes as far as a smoke box. So do some of the Great Western panniers. Not just Brighton pannier tanks, everybody called them that in those days. Exactly. Instead, I will now have an E4, at least one D1, at least one E1, a couple of Terriers, possibly a B1 too. I mean, that's a decent fleet. Can we get a roof on it? No, there you go. Roof is on. Is that what you were after? Because that's what I've got. Might need a bit more work on the roof first. It's a bit roof and pretty. Oh dear. Oh, that's annoying. There's a bit of brass just there. Oh, okay. Interesting. I thought that was a bit of flash from something. No. It's the partition wall that's in the way of fitting these. Good design there. But once that's out the way, they fit quite nicely. Just needs a little bit trimming off the end. '94 Red Sets panniers had the tanks only up to smoke box rear. It looks a bit like forming the elliptical roof for that. Yeah, it's going to be fun, isn't it? And the 1500s moved from the front to rear of smoke box, literally just the smoke box length itself, wing tank rather than cab to rear of smoke box like the 15 Well, the Brighton tank wing tanks weren't like that. The name might have been adopted for other things afterwards, but pannier tank wasn't a term at the time. It's changed from sad so they were apparently proving difficult over the bit of fireboxes being fitted to locos. Well, yeah. That's why some saddled, and if you look at most saddle tanks, they ones with raised fireboxes like that generally don't cover the firebox. Which was the first place, but all I know No, the term wasn't in use yet. Yes, and that is all it comes down to. Pannier tank wasn't a term in use at the time. There we go, it fits now. We've got 5 minutes left, so I don't think we're going to get on both sides on. But we're going to do what we can. But yeah, Craven's wing tanks were sold to some dock railway that later became part of the Great Western. Tanks with flared tops are far superior. Well, I don't know about that. They're definitely superior to pannier tanks. Not sure they're superior to wing tanks though. Term pannier tank I've not heard used before 1900 or thereabouts when the Great Western started building them. Looked on Google, can't find pictures of LBSCR wing tanks. Tanks for the influence. Pictures of them on Discord. Down, I missed your stream. You have. We end in 3 minutes apparently. So I don't know why I'm even bothering to polish this up. But I've decided it can go on there now. And we'll end when this is on there. Such frank communications, so I really should be in my book then. Just someone's hey, Discord, yeah, Discord link. So search for Willow Walk Shunters. If you want to find some pictures of the wing tanks. There are pictures of them. lbscr.org, look at the locomotives on there. There'll be pictures in the Craven section of the Willow Walk Shunters. Thoroughly enjoyed the live stream, thank you. Excellent. I am glad you have enjoyed it. That means a lot when people enjoy it. And I hope people have learned that brass kits aren't as hard as they look. Or they've learned that they are. They're definitely not as hard as people think, though. And if one person out there in internet land has a go at a brass kit after watching me build this one, then it was all worth it. There we go. It is attached. And it's only 20 seconds to midnight. There we go. Soul bar in place. we definitely have something a bit more carriage looking. I lift it up there. And don't punch the camera. You've all been waiting for that all night, haven't you? I don't have my thing to put behind it to block all this so that it focuses on the carriage. There we go. So yes, there we are. Thoroughly enjoyed the live stream. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Kilmore Ray. Hello and welcome to the end of the live stream. They aren't in any of my books under the Harbour Dock Railways. I mean, we're talking very early here. We're talking 1850s, I think. No, it's probably later than that. But we're talking very early. Well done, Pro. That's great. Certainly, it's quite pretty. Hello. Hello. Thank you, Jerry, for live stream brass kit build. Wait, the end. Oops, yeah, indeed. We are just finishing. We have put together this carriage this evening, which is now looking quite carriagey. We will continue with it next week when we will get the other soul bar on, get the step boards on, and get adding details and bits. So I am looking forward to that already. I hope at least some of you lot are. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for stream, guys. Been a great one. Thank you, Linny. Well, this is an abnormal amount of progress for one night. Looks great. Been a great stream. Thank you, Killian. Thank you, Andy. Last alarm of the season set. Don't work too hard since it's the last one of the season. But yes, what's left for me to say is thank you for coming, everyone. I've been Gary. This has been Let's Build. You've been awesome as always. Good night. Or not, because my thing doesn't want to work.